If he didn't get the call, do you think that he wouldn't have killed her?
No, he probably would have. But
Exactly.
the point being is that
I think it's more like it's like sex drive, right? It's like, oh, you're in the mood at one time and then something distracts you. You're like, oh, I'm not in the mood anymore.
I think, in my opinion, it's an anti-drug movie.
Okay, explain, please.
Now, you might be wondering.
No, you gotta explain.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so welcome back to the Shade Cinema podcast. I'm Chris, and these are my great friends, Mr. Auden, Mr. Sevan, and Miss Anita. Today we're going to be discussing American Psycho and some of the psychological elements of that story. So my first question is thoughts on the film.
Terrible movie. Absolutely hated it.
What do you mean by that?
It's just trash.
Aaron Beligas Luzai.
I didn't even see that coming. Good setup. No, it was a good movie altogether. I think there's like just a lot to talk about it. It's a lot of things to think about because it's very open-ended, right? So it's like it definitely takes a few watches to get like a perspective or an opinion about it.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Like you would need to actually watch it like at least twice or three times, but
Yeah.
I love that movie, really.
Because you relate.
What is it that you like most about the movie?
Patrick. Mr. Pat Bateman. AKA
Patrick Star?
The movie, for some reason, like I rewatched it today.
For some reason.
Just
Just because you felt like it. You know what? Like, I feel like watching this movie just for some reason.
Not the podcast.
no,
Bruh.
I watched the movie today and it felt like I was doing like I was back in like Sec 4 and just doing like an English essay for this
What do
movie.
you mean by that?
Yeah, like it was just fucking weird for me.
So you had to like really puzzle
Analyze.
everything. And
Yeah.
okay.
Like everything was supposed to be analyzed in this movie. Like
I'm sorry.
felt like,
I'm sorry. It's not a Fast and Furious 17 movie.
It's not Home Alone. But no, very good movie in the end.
Okay. What do you think?
I loved it. It came out when, in the year 2000?
Yeah.
Or it was in the 1980s?
No, 2000.
No, the movie itself, the story is based in the 1980s, but it came out in
In the
2000.
90s.
1980 Exactly. So, again, in a society, well, Reagan was president, very high emphasis on capitalism. But me watching it for the first time this year, it's like, it's still very representative of like our society now to this day. And like I work in a corporate firm with like I'm around men who are in mergers and acquisitions just like the movie, and I see so many characteristics that the guys nowadays still have, just like Patrick Bateman and the guys in his firm.
She works with serial killers.
I swear, when she said mergers and acquisitions, I heard murders and acquisitions.
Same thing.
And I mean, you see it now on TikTok and on Instagram how Gen Z brought it back. And
Yeah.
American Psycho is suddenly like crazy viral. So
Well, it's the whole meme of like him being very Sigma.
He does the ooh.
With the interview with
Just a little.
the thing that the detective.
He's with that loser Bateman.
I love how he actually switches like characters, like
Ooh.
during the movie.
Patrick.
Yeah, it was amazing.
What do you mean by switches characters?
just his
Like yeah, just his own as well. Like he switches like from his face. Like let's say there was a scene when he was at the laundry shop and he was like yelling at this old Chinese,
Korean, I think.
Korean. I don't even know what it was, but old Asian lady, and he was just yelling at it until like somebody actually came in, and he knew of that person. I don't know if it was like somebody that he just met or anything, but
No, it doesn't seem like it was. Well, it was somebody who they met probably beforehand,
Exactly.
and then like saw like he saw her again there, and he's like, nah, I gotta dip.
exactly like when you see it at the dip as well, you can actually see his face completely change while he was saying, "Oh yeah, bye," like he was smiling, and then you can just see his face for like a split second completely go like dark, like he was just smiling like every day, and then he just.
There's sort of a level of like fakingness when it comes to that higher position, because I find that with the more power, I guess, like the more wealth you have, because wealth equals power, right?
Mm-hmm.
The more wealth and power you have, the more kind of fake you have to be in order to seem like like well mannered, I guess. Is the word.
Technically, yes.
So the less money you have, typically the more honest you end up being.
I think he just wanted to fit in, right? And because
That too.
he was trying to copy the mannerisms of everyone else, like the guys at the firm. So for him, he had to adopt like a fake personality half the time.
Why do you think everybody was always confused with who he actually was, giving him like the wrong names and stuff?
Yeah,
confusing him for other people.
Well, we're gonna talk about that
Yeah.
later, but one of the first questions I want to ask is like, describe Patrick Bateman as a person.
Oof.
Just
He's
give,
very-
Like
I mean,
word answer. Like
One word answer.
Like one word that describes Patrick Bateman.
Murderer. I mean, if we're gonna boil it down to one word, then sure, I guess. No, but it's a bit difficult just because it's not. He doesn't even know who he is really. Yeah, you can obviously say he has like the traits of like a narcissist, like privileged kid who basically like tries to be like the best version of himself, but like also be like everybody else, you know. But he's always very confused with his like where he fits in his society and trying to figure out what's happening with himself as well. He can't understand like his behavioral patterns, and he has like these weird and like violent urges all the time as well, like needing to kill people. But I mean, yeah, I guess like it's like an hour discussion that we can have just on his personality, honestly.
Yeah,
It's,
well, I'm just saying like describe him in a basic way.
Like
I guess.
that's like
So you're saying
one way of
So
for
like
sure.
if you round all of that
He's
down
a-
to like a sentence, what would you say?
He's a perfectionist, really, in his work. Like any type of work that he actually
No.
does.
No, I wouldn't say he's a
No.
perfectionist.
Yes, he
The-
tries to.
Tries to
yes,
be.
yes, he
Well, I
tries
mean-
to be as perfect as he can, as we can see, like from his skincare routine in the morning. Like, oh, my name is Patrick Bateman.
But I think
I
it's,
live in this
but
room
I think it's
every
less about being perfectionist for the sake of himself. It's just that he wants to be perfect in the eyes of others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's so
Yeah,
vain. So
he's-
as soon as he gets criticized, like why did he kill his friend there? What was his name?
Paul Allen?
Paul Allen.
Paul Allen.
Then he pretends to be Paul Allen afterwards, right?
Yes.
But why does he kill Paul Allen? It's because Paul Allen calls him a loser to his face.
No, but
But there
was
was
it
also
that?
more as well.
No, I think it was because his card was better than his. That was the
No.
initial.
Well, there's
reason.
a few reasons. Well, his
Yeah.
card was not only was better than his, which was like this.
Also, who the fuck would be pissed off about a card? Like there was literally like a.
You know who would be
like
pissed
a
off?
fucking
You know who would be
10-minute
pissed
scene.
off? An American Psycho.
Oh my god.
No, but I don't think he's perfectionist necessarily. I think again, like he just tries to fit in, right? He tries to be like everybody else, follow that same image, but he's just very competitive, right? He wants to be the absolute best. He wants to be the best picture, like the best picture that people like see of him. But like I wouldn't say he's perfectionist, like because he wants to improve himself. He just wants other people to see him one way. But the only reason why I don't agree with you is because of his serial killer.
Like the behavior that.
But
he
I
actually
wouldn't
did.
even
That's
say
not-
he's a serial killer because he doesn't kill people for like. Because serial killers typically kill a certain amount of people, like not a certain amount, but like a certain kind of people.
I mean,
you understand what I mean?
Like to
Doesn't-
get emotion out of them because that brings them joy.
Yeah, well, like for example,
Well, technically-
Ted Bundy killed like young women, for example,
But I
or
think-
Jeffrey Dahmer
yeah.
killed like gay men, for example.
But because like for example,
But
like
so-
these serial killers on average they have like a motive, but I think you become a serial killer once you surpass a certain number of people that you've like taken out.
Yeah,
Because
well, that's
technically, he
yeah, I
still
guess
is a
you could say
serial
that.
killer as well.
like you don't I feel like you don't necessarily need to have a motive. As soon as you've killed like more than 5 people, it's like you're a serial killer at that point.
But Patrick Bateman, like he calls his lawyer and he tells him, "Look, like I've killed 5 to 10 like
No, he
homeless
said
people."
No, like 20.
The 20s,
said-
like maybe 40.
Yeah.
He's like 40. You know, I think he
No, but
killed like
like-
40 people. He said.
Oh wow.
But the fact that okay, well, we'll get to his murderous thing right now. But like, Anita, you have anything to add to the previous question, which was describe Patrick Bateman as a person?
So I don't have one word, I have 2 words. It would be identity crisis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Fully more emphasis on his image over his identity and trying to figure out who he is. As we can see, like in the boardroom with the cards, the business cards, like the whole group, instead of working, they're just comparing business cards. You never see him work once. Everything he does is just trying to maintain a certain image and trying to make himself look like the rest of them. Whether it's from the suits, the glasses. In the business card scene, we see he's wearing the same glasses and the suit as someone else.
And the headphones.
Trying to get the same reservations as someone else. Like he's just not trying to carve his own way, his own path.
Yeah, he's always trying to get the reservation at Dorsia.
Yes.
Dorcia is the main antagonist of this movie.
It's all because of Dorcia.
It is.
I couldn't get a reservation at Dorcia.
Here's my card.
The off-white coloring.
The off-white coloring.
What is written right over
The
here?
subtle hint. Oh my god.
B8008135.
What's written right over here?
Boobies.
Penis and penis. Okay, so if you guys are enjoying the show so far, leave a like. And also, from our good friend, Mr. Joe Rogan.
Subscribe to the Shade Cinema podcast, motherfuckers. Do it now.
He said it himself, guys.
He said it himself.
That is his voice.
That is him.
And let's move on.
Not Seinfeld. No.
The copyright infringement.
The copyright. You're gonna get copyrighted right now, bro. Please, no.
Aaron Beligas Luzai.
So, does Patrick Bateman kill out of hate or just because he's crazy?
He kills it out of him loving to kill. Like, he says it as well. He's like, I enjoyed killing these people.
So, but does that enjoyment come from him vanquishing something that he hates, or is it just because he thrives in that?
I think it's because he thrives in that, but because it's become natural for him to do so. When he has a reason to kill someone, he takes it. So, for example, I don't think he necessarily has a reason to kill the women that he sleeps with. But for example, there's like Paul Allen, for example, who in his mind he had a clear motive, like he disrespected him and he had a better card than him. So it's like, okay, I have to eliminate this competition, right? This man. So it's in his eyes like that, like eliminating that person is actually killing them.
He also got a reservation at Dorcia on a Friday.
Damn.
Imagine.
Damn.
Dorcia on a Friday?
Yo, that's crazy.
And Patrick just went
it's
on
like
a Wednesday?
KFC. It's like KFC in Japan during Christmas time.
Oh. That's true. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, no, I know.
It's beautiful.
Do you know this?
Please
Do you know-
enlighten me.
So basically, in Japan, you know how Christmas here, usual, like how Thanksgiving usually they eat turkeys and
Yeah,
stuff
and
like that.
like all the turkeys are sold out because everyone just focuses
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that.
So,
Okay.
for example, in Japan, the Christmas main meal is Kentucky Fried Chicken because of an ad campaign that they did in the 80s, meaning Kentucky equals, or what was it? Christmas equals Kentucky.
That's genius.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's genius.
And in Japan, there's no like religious ties to it because they're all like Shinto or whatever.
It just became their.
So it's
their
like
thing.
when they still like to celebrate the holidays, right? Because it's like gift giving and all that. So they decided they're like, okay, well let's all go to KFC. So you can't book it. You have to book it like 6 months in advance
Yeah,
to
it's
get a
fucked
seat
up.
at
It's
KFC.
crazy. That's
Drink
wild.
Just have it a day before.
Imagine working.
If you're Paul Allen, you would have it like, oh, I have it this Friday.
I have a reservation at Japanese
Friday.
KFC. The coloring.
The coloring. It's like they all look the same fucking shade of white, but like point.
One of them has like lines like this, but like it's very faint.
The subtle pink.
The subtle writing. The penis and penis on the left, right?
Just in case you guys want to read it as well. That's my number. Oh, it's this one.
Are you trying to get any bitches or something? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Does Patrick Bateman kill out of hate or just because he's crazy?
I don't think he's crazy.
I think it was Anita's turn.
I forgot who was spoke.
Sorry.
That's why. No, I think he is. I think that is his true self. He's just been masking it for such a long time, and it just finally came out, and then he couldn't resist anymore and kept doing it more and more. And he kept on continuing, and that I think it became his way to not conform while he was conforming to so many other things, and that just became his way to stand out. And I think eventually he wanted to get caught. I mean, that's why he called the lawyer. And I'm sure we'll talk about the ending after, so I don't want to get into it right now. But no, I think he definitely is crazy. I mean...
Okay. No, I think he kills out of hate.
He
But
Kills out of
actually-
hate.
Okay.
Because,
I think,
because
yeah.
he, for example, he kills the homeless guy because he finds him pathetic.
Right.
Yeah.
like he doesn't kill his assistant, even though he could have. But then, like he was about to, but then he realized like
That she's a good
Well, no,
person.
because
she's a good person.
No, but he got a call, dude. He was pointing the nail gun at her,
yeah.
and
But
then the call came in.
But the call came in, and he's like, "No, you should leave. Like
Yeah,
you should leave.
he
Like
spared her.
he
He
spared
spared her.
he spared her life."
And then the girl found
But
out
okay, but
from his
if
journal.
if he didn't get the call, do you think that he wouldn't have killed her?
No, he probably would have. But
Exactly.
but the point being is that
I
like,
think it's more
but,
like
he,
it's like sex drive, right? It's like, oh, you're in the mood at one time, and then something distracts you. And you're like, oh, I'm not in the mood anymore. So like maybe that was like his mentality at the time was like, oh, you know what? I'm not in the mood to kill you. Just leave before like
Not-
I feel like killing you again.
but he
you know?
could have just invited her out again or something afterwards. But like he didn't. That's the thing. He didn't kill. He doesn't just kill random people. Like he could have killed his girlfriend, but he didn't.
Well, he does kill random people. He killed like 10 homeless people.
Mhm.
No, I'm
As
saying
well
like
as
he
the
doesn't
woman
just
that he finds
he doesn't
off the
just
streets.
kill random people who don't mean anything to him, but he kills like homeless people who he finds to be like disgusting.
Wait,
Well, at the end
Gross.
of the
so
movie,
the
like, he
ending,
starts-
bro, literally
yeah.
he killed like
Also, how many
But
five
he killed.
Hold
he-
the
how many
cops to get
rounds
away.
did he have in that gun?
Okay, so
by the
that's
way?
well. Anyways, I think
We'll
we're
get
gonna get
there.
to this. Yeah.
But the thing is-
okay, but I do
But
have
same, but the same reason why he killed the prostitutes because those people were there to stop him in a way. You know what I mean? He saw them as threats to him in that moment, so he just like unleashed as much as he could. See, so like for example, the prostitute, he wasn't gonna kill her, but then he was, but like she ran away, and that's why he got her. You
Then
know,
she got chainsawed
chainsaw to the face.
from
back.
the higher floor. And the stairs. Also, why did she take the stairs?
Because by the time she waited for the elevator to come, like
He went,
Oh yeah, that's also true.
it's like ding. It's like wait, let me get in first.
Hold up, you gotta give me a 10-second head start.
Next question would be: is Patrick Bateman really Patrick Bateman?
Are we taking turns?
Okay, what do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, there's parts in the movie where they say that Patrick Bateman is not actually Patrick Bateman, where he says that he's not, like, for example, at the beginning he's like, I'm not really myself. Like, we just watched the clip earlier
Yeah.
together before the show started.
Yeah,
We watched this
it's-
clip together, and it was him just like doing the moisturizer thing, and he's like,
where he says that he's
I'm-
not there. Yeah,
I'm not really here. Like, I'm just a shell, and Patrick Bateman's like a.
like if he doesn't have a different identity, if that's the question that.
No, what
like,
I'm saying.
he's trying to. I mean, Anita said it herself that like she has like personality disorder. No, sorry.
I'm sorry, what?
What did you say? No,
Identity.
Me or the character?
No, you.
He's having like
No,
an
you about
identity
him.
crisis.
Oh, yeah. That's you said it in a way
No,
that-
no. Like you mentioned it about
Anita's
him.
victimizing
that he-
herself.
yourself.
I
No,
am.
that he has like a personality disorder, right? But he just has a face in front of other people in the public. Like I think he's not. I have a
No.
hard
What
time
I'm saying.
understanding your question.
No. What the question is basically, is Patrick Bateman actually? Because they keep referring to him as someone else, but none of these people are so. Which one are you putting?
Lotion, I hope. Imagine he puts
You're
the
supposed to
exfoliator.
wash first and then wash it off your face.
It's completely fine.
I should have brought one of those peel-off face masks. Anyway.
Oh yeah, big
thing.
thing
I am Patrick.
with the cucumbers.
So back to the question at hand. Is Patrick Bateman really Patrick Bateman? Like, is he actually the person that he seems to be portraying in the movie?
At the start, yes. Well, technically at the start.
Is
like,
he Patrick?
he's-
Who's the guy they keep comparing him to?
Well, there's
Many
Marcus
guys, huh?
in the beginning. Then the lawyer, he's like Davis.
There's one with an H.
Another one too. I just remember Marcus at the Christmas party and then
Yeah.
Davis at the end.
No, but Paul Allen called him someone else too. I think. No?
Yeah.
Oh no,
No, it
Paul Allen
was
called
a-
him Marcus. Yeah,
Yeah.
Marcus. The lawyer called him someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's Patrick Bateman's fault. I think he.
Well, I mean, it is his fault, but like he didn't do that on purpose. That's what you're saying, right?
I think it's just in their like whole bubble of these Wall Street guys. They're just so obsessed with their own like. They're in their own bubble and obsessed with everything materialistic and whatnot, and they just keep confusing everyone for everybody else. Like they don't care. they're not in touch with the present moment. They're never gonna take the time to realize who's Marcus and who's Patrick Bateman. Who's
True.
But also, it might be the case where this might get into you season 4 spoilers territory.
Just put a big ass like spoiler.
Remember how in season 4 Joe kind of thinks that he's someone else for
Who's
a bit.
Joe?
Never
That
mind.
he's someone else?
Yeah, he believes that he's actually Jonathan Moore.
I don't think it's that he believes. I think
He pretends to be, right?
Yeah, he pretends to be. Yeah, like
But-
on purpose.
He pretends to be on purpose, like to be this person, but he then completely forgets about being Joe. It's kind of like that, where he sees himself as John and not necessarily Joe, and that's
Right.
how he forgets his old. That's how he forgets his old. Joe's the character in the show.
You haven't seen anything at all from
Nothing.
you?
Nothing.
Oh, that explains
It's a
it.
great. It's a good show. You'd like it.
What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
Everybody knows you kill people, bro.
You're next. No. In Paris. Again.
But it's like he kind of lives a double life, but maybe he doesn't fully know that he's living it. He thinks, or maybe it's a lot of it is in his head, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess we'll get into that later.
But I think it's an issue of like when it comes to if Patrick Bateman is really Patrick Bateman, it has to do a lot with how the world kind of sees him as Patrick Bateman. The world kind of sees as Marcus, because if they keep calling Patrick Bateman a loser, they're not going to hang out with him.
That's
Right.
true.
But then if they
But how do they know about Patrick Bateman if they always meet with him, but they think that he's someone else? Right? Like, that was one thing that fucked with me, especially the first time watching him. Like, okay, you keep meeting with him, you keep thinking he's someone else, but you're calling Patrick Bateman a
loser to his face.
The only reason why he
So how do
But
you
not-
know
but not-
who Patrick Bateman is? You know?
Well, apparently him and Marcus look very similar. But chances are,
Okay, no,
but
but-
we never see Marcus in the movie.
Exactly.
We do.
We do.
No,
We do.
Yeah, we do. In the conference room, where the card scene where he goes, here's my card. He
He's there.
passes in the background and he's like, yeah, this Allen guy keeps confusing me with Marcus. Like we're wearing like always the same suit. We even go to the same barber, whatever.
And
my
the same
hair-
And the same
glasses.
glasses.
The same glasses.
my haircut's
But you
better.
see him walk by and like they look very alike. Everybody looks alike, honestly. But is it?
That's
Do they
racism,
think
by the way.
that Patrick Bateman is actually Marcus and they're
But does
calling him a
Marcus-
loser, or do they actually know Patrick but they forgot what he looks like
But
and
does-
they're confusing?
But does Marcus interact with anyone in the movie?
He does. I think it's just that they probably, Patrick, when he started at the firm, I'm sure he was just his like regular Patrick Bateman self, and then the others didn't like him or enough, and then that's what stemmed him from trying to fit in. So new suits, all the glasses, whatever. So that's probably where the confusion started. They probably originally always thought of him as a loser and then he tried to fit in. He felt victimized. He was humiliated. We see him be vulnerable and humiliated, and I think just he started copying everyone else's mannerisms and just trying to shift his whole personality. And I think that's what made people get confused and start confusing him with different people, because he just kept copying different people.
Okay, so let's assume that Patrick Bateman in The Office is not actually Patrick Bateman. He's someone else. Let's say he's Marcus, right?
Wait,
like
but sorry-
when he enters that world, into the corporate world, he becomes Marcus.
And then when he's out,
When
with
he's
his
out,
friends, he's Pat.
But can I say something though? Sorry. Because I don't think he's himself anywhere unless he's like with other people, like actually with the intention to kill. Like that's his like true nature, his true self. Because you mentioned, I agree with everything you said, except for the part that he used to be himself and then he started to change, because that's why people thought he was a loser. I don't think he was ever himself. I think he just had a hard time understanding why people behaved the way that they did. And so he was trying to adapt to their ways as much as possible. So initially he came in with a blank slate, wasn't sure exactly like what he was supposed to do, how he was supposed to behave, how he was supposed to speak with people. And he slowly started to adapt like these ways. And that's how he evolved his facade to become the person he is in the corporate world. But then outside with the people that he actually has the intention to kill, he's someone completely different. Like you see when he's going to kill Paul Allen, he's like dancing, like listening to music, like talking like all happy and shit, joyful. And like, and then when it comes to the time to kill, he gets that thrill. It's like, that's his true self. Or like when he's with the girls alone, You know, that's him.
And he bites her.
And he bites her and he eats their brain. Like, fuck. Jesus Christ. But yeah.
And with his girlfriend too, just before I forget, like the line that shocked me the most, I think, in the whole movie was in the beginning scenes when he was in the cab with his with Evelyn, the girlfriend, and he was listening to music, and then she asked a question or something, and he like took off one of the ears, and he said, "Because I'm trying to fit in, or I want to fit in." I did not expect that from him. He like said it so openly. So yeah, you're right. I guess he was fully being himself, and he.
No, but that's what's funny about this movie. That's why it's like it's not really a horror movie. It's more like a satire. Is he speaks so openly about everything. He even tells his girlfriend, it's like, I need to, what did he say? Like, I need to do some, like,
and to return some
something about like his homicidal behavior at like a mass scale or something in the restaurant while he's drawing a fucking dead lady with a chainsaw on her back on the table.
Because just no one believes him.
Yeah, just because it's so crazy. So it's like he's not even hiding it and people aren't recognizing it, you know?
Yeah, because
Even the lawyer.
It was his way to. He's trying to stand out.
Yeah.
He was
No, but he's not trying to stand out though, is he?
Well, technically, yeah, he is. He like I feel like he just wants like a lot of attention from other people. That's why he tries to act like some other people, like Marcus as well.
Do you think he wants attention,
the
or he
only
just
reason-
wants to have a good picture of himself
No,
in
I
the
think
public?
I think he wants a lot of attention. To be
Really?
honest. Yes, because the only way he actually got on like get to go out with Paul Allen was by being Marcus, and then he wanted to like talk about like some other stuff, like let's say Marcus, in other words, Pat, wanted to actually talk about other stuff, and Paul Allen was like, yeah, that guy, Patrick Bateman, he's such a loser and everything. And the only reason why, in my opinion, Patrick Bateman wanted to actually hear that is because to see
What people think of him?
exactly.
I don't think that has anything to do with attention, like wanting more attention.
No, I think he wants he
Like-
wants to fit in above all else.
Yeah, that's it.
That's because if he
The only reason
If he
why
wanted-
he's asking like other
Why-
people as well on like or people are telling him, oh yeah, that Patrick Bateman's such a fucking loser or anything, is to see like if he actually fits in or not in that concept.
Okay, can I give you like a comparison?
I mean in
Don't
that
touch me
context.
again.
Okay, do you know? Okay, no. But do you know, like, okay, like in sports, there's always like the players that perform and whatever and have their place on the team, and the other ones, you always have those players that aren't there, like they don't have the talent to be there, but like they found
okay.
one way to get.
It's okay. Adam.
Thank you. This is me. This is me. But they found their way to get there to like claim that they have a spot on that team, to have that status, right?
Okay.
So they don't do it necessarily for the attention. They do it for the status. So that's what he wants.
He wants
right?
that.
He,
Already has
he
that
wants he
status.
wants people to think that he's at this level when he's not.
But at the start of the movie, like you can see him expressing like everything. Like he's talking about there's a lot of like bad stuff happening already around the world. Like there's starvation. There's a lot of different types of stuff that he's explaining, and people are just looking at him. They're like, wow, okay, this guy knows a lot of information. So in other words, we should listen to him. That's what he was thinking.
I think that's a front. We see it multiple times in the movie. It's like he has these lines already copied in his head to like say at these certain situations when he's around people. Just exactly like a front, so people again to reinforce his image, so people think that he's
100%.
like you said knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable about the world and everything, it's like situations around like problems that we have in our societies and stuff. He talks about like the poor and like world hunger and stuff, but then he ends up going around and killing the poor and then stomping their dogs out.
Because,
Well, yeah, he's solving the
a-
problem, dude.
Oh my god.
He's very desensitized.
gonna shoot
There
a
was
cat.
one thing I had never noticed on like the first time that I watched the movie. The first scene after his beauty routine, when the first time he looked at himself, like his reflection, it wasn't in a mirror. It was in a Les Miserables poster.
Yeah.
And I think they brought it up, like the boys when they were the squad when they were talking about it, and they were talking about how I think they got expensive tickets for the play or something like that, like completely missing the point of the whole play when the play itself is about class tension and how like the poor like
They're like forming a revolution.
exactly.
Take over, yeah.
So just like there are so many little things in that movie, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's literally him just calling Dorsia while there's porn on the TV. Like, it's the funniest shit ever. And the funny stuff
okay,
is
sorry,
that he's calling Dorsia. He's like, yeah, I know it's late notice. Like, I just want to make a reservation. And the guy on the other end just starts laughing at him. It was the funniest thing ever.
But
hangs
isn't
up,
that-
didn't give his name.
But also, isn't that also kind of the one of the things that really trigger him in that moment?
Yes. Yes.
Because the
Oh,
last
like
thing
J-
the last
J-
thing that a
J-
person who wants to fit in wants to happen to them is being laughed at
Mm-hmm.
for whatever they're trying to do. So he's trying to fit in by going to Dorsia, by saying, "Oh, look at me! I have a reservation at Dorsia tonight, and I got it today, and it's for tonight." But then when he tried it, he gets laughed at in his face, and then he, that obviously compounds over time, and he eventually lashes out against people around him, and it leads to a lot
To
of
be honest, like,
death
he
and
was-
destruction.
Exactly. But to be honest, I think, in my opinion, he was just trying to be Paul Allen as much as he can. And, like, trying to make that personality. Like, when was it? He was supposed to go on a date with his secretary. And he was like, oh, yeah, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? And the secretary just says Dorsia.
His
And he's
face.
like, yeah, I'll do it for you. No problem at all.
And then he
just
calls them up, and then it's like,
He's getting rejected, like, right away as well.
he's like, "We don't have any space for tonight." Great.
Good. That sounds
See you
amazing.
tonight.
Great. That sounds great. See you tonight. And then
He hangs up. The lady was like, "But you didn't give your name."
They know me.
They know me. It's the status. But going back to what you said about like him.
wait. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's what he wants.
That's a good point. You get a clap.
That's what he want. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
He wants the status, right?
Yeah.
I said that like 5 times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
But what
that's an
does he
example.
want?
That's an example of like how he wanted to have status. He wanted to have so much status where wherever he goes, he's known as Patrick Bateman, and they already know his name. They don't even need. They don't even need to ask him for like, "Oh, hey Patrick, how are you? Oh, I want a reservation for 2 tonight. Oh, okay, well we already have whatever seats, but like, oh, we'll make a seat for you. We'll make room
Yeah,
for you."
but to be honest, like when he actually went out with Paul Allen, he gave Marcus's name. So like, he's like, oh yeah, like Marcus for like 2 people, blah blah blah, whatever. But he's not even giving out his, like, he's not saying, oh yeah, my name is Patrick Bateman to like everybody. When
But I
he
think-
invited like the 2 prostitutes at Paul Allen's house. No, sorry. I think it was at a Paul Allen's house, or was it at?
It was his. Yeah.
It was his house. When he invited them, he's like, "Yeah, my name is Paul Allen. My name is Paul Allen."
To the girls.
You guys want to know why? Because whenever Patrick intends on killing someone,
He gives out a free.
he gives out a fake name. So then when the police
It doesn't draw back.
contact him, it doesn't draw back. So it's just how the detective said, like, oh well, he was out with someone. He was out with Marcus that night.
And Marcus doesn't remember.
Marcus doesn't remember, but and whatever the case may be. So, but like then he can't be drawn back to him. Just like how if he kills these prostitutes and uses Paul Allen's name, it can't be drawn back to him because on paper he's not there. Like he had something else.
Exactly.
And he was doing something
didn't
else.
do anything.
Returning videotapes.
Yes.
Okay, like that's another thing.
Exactly.
If you wanted attention that badly, why would he always be escaping the scene, going off doing something else? Because if you wanted attention, he'd try to catch people's attention by doing something, right?
Well, in my opinion, he wanted attention, especially like at the end of the movie, while he was like going around like in the hotel. Well, in the
No.
hotel.
Like when he was going to talk to his lawyer, or wait, what?
No.
point?
Right before talking to his lawyer, he was like shooting like the cops and everything. Like he was trying to run away.
Okay.
And
Well, running away is the definition of not wanting attention.
Yeah.
yes, but going around in a loop in what's it called?
The building.
Roundabout.
You mean the
Not even a
residential-
roundabout. Like it's in the building. Like he just did a whole circle just to shoot the janitor.
Like can't remember.
No, like in his mind, it's like, oh, eliminating witness, but I don't think he did it for attention. You're killing the person that's giving you the attention. That's not wanting attention.
Okay. No comment.
No,
It's
but,
the biggest piece of dog shit.
but I see what you meant, though. I see what you meant.
Is Patrick Bateman really Patrick Bateman?
I don't think there is a solid definition of. I mean, we don't know. He himself doesn't know who he is, so how can anybody else?
True.
Okay.
Yeah, especially at the end when he finds out that Paul Allen is
Not dead.
either alive or people are stuck. Like he's like, it just boggles him even more. He's like,
we'll get into that. I finally understood that scene. I think.
I did too, but that's the thing though, because the director herself, like her idea, the whole point was to have it open ended. So you can have an answer, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. You know,
Yeah, of
there's
course.
like two ways of seeing it.
How much of the film do you think is in Patrick Bateman's head?
Like how many minutes in the film is in Patrick Bateman's head?
Exactly. Yes. Define the exact amount of minutes.
99% of the
Because
film.
he's narrating it.
Okay. Do you want to go?
No,
I think it's all real. I think that's one of the debates where people are like, was it all in his head? Is it all real? Is it all fake? But no, it was intended because it was a book before, right?
Yeah.
And it was confirmed. No, it's all real. Just
In the book,
the whole story.
The whole story is real.
the movie.
Yes.
Like I understand
Okay.
he's narrating it,
No,
and
that's
it's big.
cap.
You don't think it's all real?
No.
I understand
There's
because
no
his
way.
narration is odd, and then his
I can.
character.
There's one thing that's
things-
coming to mind already that's
Okay,
already gonna
tell
prove you
me.
wrong. The fucking ATM machine. Feed me the cat.
Well, that's
Well,
what
you're
he
telling me
was
that's
seeing
real?
in his mind. That's what he was seeing in
Okay.
his mind.
Yeah.
That's-
Okay. So
Well-
right there, it's not real.
Well, the whole
So right there,
shootout,
you're
the
wrong.
whole shootout. You think he's gonna go around killing 5 to 10 people
That's
in a
what-
shootout?
with perfect. Already, there's no way that gun had that many rounds to shoot in the first place.
That's
There's
right.
no way he ran away from the cops that quickly
And
and,
a gun-
managed to
and a
kill all
gu-
those people with perfect aim.
And a gun can't blow up a car like that.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no
yeah,
way. There's so many things that contradict what you guys are saying.
Right.
And Paul and he said he killed Paul Allen, but then Paul Allen was in
Was
France,
spotted
London.
twice.
in London.
Yeah.
But do we? That's the thing. When in this movie we saw so many times where people kept confusing people to be other people. That when people kept saying Paul Allen's alive, I'm like, but maybe those people are also confusing because everyone in this corporate world, they just look alike. They do the same things. People don't care about anybody else.
Okay, or the girl that was murdered by the chainsaw when she was running in the hotel, like nobody was alarmed by the sound of the chainsaw going off, her going crazy, knocking on the doors. Nobody reacted.
But-
you can say that like the world that they're trying to construct here is they're trying to show how people are so like self-centered and like they're so
yeah.
consumed. Yeah, okay, that's true, but it's still crazy that like with all the evidence that's left there, nobody realized anything and there was no hint of him killing anyone.
I think that was just the point of the whole movie, such as like
That people are so
Um,
removed from reality.
everyone just wants to do their own. They have their own objectives. For example, Paul Allen, when the real estate agent was trying to sell the apartment,
Yeah.
why would she try to sell the apartment, or who gives her the right if Paul Allen's actually alive? She starts selling the
Well,
apartment.
we don't know if because they don't know if Paul Allen's actually alive or not.
But then how did she even start trying to sell the apartment? So then he came back into the apartment. He's freaking out the ladies there. The apartment, there's paint and stuff everywhere. He opens the closet. The two girls that were there are missing.
Yeah.
At first glance, I was so confused about that scene. That's why I was tripping. I'm like, is this actually real? Is this fake? But then when you think about it, and then the real estate agent, like she tells him to like go and like never come back. Then I realized it's because she's trying to cover up the murders.
The murders, yeah, so she can sell it.
Sell the apartment, sell it for a higher value. Well, the value doesn't go down for her commission.
Okay.
I'm
Or
gonna say
maybe
completely
the
different.
maybe that saleswoman is a god.
Fucking what?
What a tangent.
Allah has come as a woman to sell this apartment.
Chill with that.
Paul
Chill
Allen,
with
who's
that.
not dead.
So yeah, like that's like one of the few scenes that's like could be like contradictory.
I'm gonna say something completely different from you guys, by the way. Like completely different.
Okay.
I feel like
Thank you for that.
I feel like the whole movie, except for the last 10, 15 minutes, except for the last until like he actually goes into Paul Allen's
Apartment.
apartment.
When it's cleaned, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I feel like the whole part of that movie was only in his head. And
Wait,
Paul-
that second half?
like no, like I'm saying,
Like all
from
the scenes that
start
are
of the
in
movie
his apartment.
until from the start of the movie until the lady selling the apartment and everything, like painting the apartment and everything. I feel like that whole scene, that whole concept was in his mind. So him and like what happened was, in my opinion, that Paul Allen only existed in London and he had already seen him and he had tried to portray him as
So you're saying
Like
Paul
himself.
Allen? So you're saying Paul Allen was actually Patrick Bateman? Like when whatever Paul Allen did was actually Patrick Bateman?
like I'm saying that Paul Allen like Patrick Bateman tried to be like Paul Allen as much, but couldn't actually succeed.
So when Paul Allen went to London, he actually went to London. Is that
Yes.
what you're saying?
Yes.
And then when whatever happened with Paul Allen after that, it was him.
Exactly.
So basically the movie.
Damn.
Baby girl.
So what do you think, Auden?
Okay, now I'm a bit confused after what Sevan just said.
Same.
I love to confuse people.
Okay, so you're saying that you think that Patrick Bateman, like, actually went to London?
No, I'm saying that Paul Allen actually went to London.
Oh, okay, but Patrick
And
Bateman,
every-
whatever.
I feel like
yeah.
I feel like everything in the movie was happening in Patrick Bateman's head.
Okay.
So everything until the end.
Until the scene that the lady was actually trying to sell the apartment. Like, I feel like all the murders he's actually committed and everything was only happening in his head.
And what can you use to substantiate your argument?
Nothing.
Exactly.
The amount of
confused.
shots that was actually taken, as Auden said as well, like the car blowing up as well. Like he saw it blowing up, but he couldn't like imagine it. Like he was like he
Well,
saw
that
it
actually happened.
smoked. He's like, what? You could see like the confusion in his face as well. That he's like, what the fuck? Like, are you kidding me? Like, how did it blow up? Like every little like aspect in his life as well that his girlfriend really like. Well, his wife, technically.
Fiance.
Sorry. Like he's breaking up with his fiance just to see like the reaction that he would actually get. There's small stuff happening in the movie as well, as Anita portrayed as well. But everything, in my opinion, it was just a complete lie. Like even the lawyers, like, oh, that was like actually very funny. Like when you called and said like you killed this amount of people, but in my opinion, I don't think anything happened.
Interesting. I think there's one argument that you can completely counter. There's a scene you can use to completely counter the whole argument that it's all real, and that's a scene where his secretary goes into his journal, into his agenda, and she goes through it, and she sees all like people getting decapitated, people getting killed. So that's where you can see where it's like maybe in his head he was like fantasizing the whole thing.
Yes.
And he was like he was drawing everything out in his head.
Yeah.
And he saw it happening as it was. And you can see like oh, this person was killed, flayed,
Right,
whatever.
but you can also say it's
but at the same time, like what was it? After he killed the woman with the chainsaw, like when he dropped it off the floor, I think the next scene is him at the restaurant with his thing, drawing that thing out. So how much of that was actually in his head, and how much was it if it was not?
But then you can also say it's like, okay, is he doing that because it's in his head and he's like drawing it out so he can like imagine it better, or is it something that actually happened, but he likes to draw it because like that scene like fascinates him?
Right before that scene as well, by the way, he sees his friend like while he's dragging out the body. By the way, worst fucking security guards ever. just to let you know, like the guy's like just looks up at it and just looks back down and he's just fucking reading his shit.
But is that would you say does that mean that that killing was faked, like or like in his head?
That's the problem.
Or would you say that that's something that like kind of goes back to what you said earlier, Anita, which was the individualistic like, was it you or I don't know, I forget. It was the individualistic view of how, like, the critique on individualism on this movie, like the self-centeredness.
Yeah, no, that was me.
That was you.
Damn.
Fuck.
Sorry. I'll give you some of the credit after.
'Cause I don't understand how you're saying it's fake when you look at the point of the movie, because the point of the movie is just to to talk about corporate greed. So we can't have this character doing all these things, the ending that I'll get into right now. And then if we just say all of this was fake, it's in his own head, then what type of parallel are you drawing to the real world? People are going to be like, oh, well, this was all fake. They're never going to...
No, but that doesn't mean that it's not still fucked in his head. I don't think that he didn't kill anyone. I just don't think that he killed that many people.
I think he just killed one person, and it was the lady with the chainsaw. Oh, no,
No,
it can't
not
be.
even.
No,
it
not
can't
her,
be.
not her.
Not her. I think it's the homeless person.
But then, like, the disappearance of Paul Allen, the lawyer coming in trying to find him.
But Paul Allen hasn't disappeared. The lawyer said that I had dinner with Paul Allen 2 weeks ago in London.
Yeah.
So that's what made me start thinking, like, is everything like that he actually did, as Chris mentioned, like, is everything like.
But
in
then
his
there's the
mind
argument. But that's the
going
thing. That's why
around?
it's so open ended. Because then you can say there's the argument that all these people are like meshing into one person. Already, Patrick Bateman is being confused for being Marcus and like
Exactly.
all these other people.
And he's
people are
confusing
thinking that Patrick
himself
are
as well.
exactly. So it's like, yeah, you can say that maybe because the lawyer already didn't recognize who Patrick was.
Yeah, and he's his lawyer.
Yeah, so it's like maybe he didn't even meet Paul Allen. So there's the arguments that yeah, all this did happen, but there's also the arguments that it didn't happen. So it's all how you construct it. But I think we can
Very good
conclude.
movie.
Yeah. But I think we can definitely conclude that Patrick Bateman is a fucked up person. Like that is the one thing that
What
we
are
can
you saying, bro?
100%
What are you
say.
saying?
No.
I don't know.
It's all right. Like,
I don't think
Overrated as fuck.
if it was all in his head, or let's say even if he killed one person, but it was actually, or yeah, he killed one, but in his head it was 20 or 40, whatever. Like the ending, him just feeling like he's trapped in his own hell. He gave his confession to the lawyer. Nobody but believed him. Now he has to live with it, still trying to conform, and then he
Yeah.
tried to stand out, wasn't able to. Back to square one. I don't think
So
he
he
would
needs
have
to
that
restart
existential like mental breakdown at the end, like that ending scene, like this
Well, if
confession.
anything, you're
meant
gonna have
nothing,
an
if
even
it was
bigger
all fake.
breakdown. Exactly.
Well, here's the thing.
Why? How?
Here's the thing. Because he went unrecognized, it's kind of like he's losing even that place in the world. He can't even fit into the category of a murderer.
Well, he can.
Well, like in the eyes of others, he can't even fit into the category of a murderer because he's seen as so minuscule and harmless.
Yeah, like the lawyer was what did he say? Because he said he confessed saying it was Patrick Bateman, and then the lawyer said it's that one big mistake you made when like doing the recording was saying that you're Patrick Bateman. He's like as if to say he would never be able to do that.
No, but don't you think that the fact that it didn't happen would give an even bigger existential crisis because
How?
just because he's like, what the fuck? I can't tell the difference between what's real and what's not.
No, I don't think he's thinking about
What the
that. I
fuck?
think he's
The
thinking
man's
Well,
not
because-
on drugs.
I just think that he's thinking about what
is drugs?
he would do like in the future, just so he could prove to other people that, yo, I did this. He needed to kill, as we said, 40 people, and after like at the end of the movie, like when nobody believes him, in his head he's thinking about what else can I do so that these people would actually believe me.
Well, he's killing all these people, and none of these people care. So he wants to be. It's kind of like, I mean, I'm kind of giving more credence to your attention argument, but it's kind of like he's trying to get not attention, but like sort of he's trying to find his place, and he's trying to have other people recognize what that place is.
Yes.
Yeah.
You understand? So when he can't even kill someone and be cared for, like no one can give a fuck about the fact that he's killing someone.
But that's the problem. Like he's killing people who are, in his opinion as well, and he said it as well. We're like there's, what did he say to the homeless guy? He said we're completely different. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
that.
there's nothing.
There's
yeah,
nothing
there's-
similar between us. But that's his problem. Like at the end of the movie, in my opinion, like if that movie actually continued, he would therefore like try to kill somebody that is similar to him, so that other people can see what kind of person he actually is. Like if the movie actually continued like afterwards as well.
What's the lesson that we can learn from this movie?
Don't kill people.
I was about to say that.
Pew pew. No.
You don't need to go to a gun range to be able to kill 10 people in a row. With like
With one round.
exactly.
With one round of 8 bullets, you're killing 10 people.
I mean, I hope there isn't a lesson to be learned from this movie because
Well, I can
there's
already.
like a lot of negatives.
Well, there is one lesson, but I'll say it later once everyone goes through theirs.
no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, what do you guys have in mind for?
Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
I was gonna talk about toxic productivity, like his whole like morning routine and everything that he does, like exercising and like he has great tools, but because he's so obsessed with these tools, I feel like it degraded his quality of life because he just became like obsessed with it and he's trying to become a perfectionist, and because this movie is so representative of like this day and age with Gen Z, and all we see is like these 5 a.m. morning routines, meditate, journal, green juice, all the things. Individually, these are great tools, but we obsess over them so much and we think that we have to do every single thing to a fault every single day that I think it actually puts more stress onto us and degrades our quality of life.
I feel like if Patrick Bateman was, like, let's say, 27 in 2023, he would be a fucking vlogger.
No, he would be in Mergers and Acquisitions. It wouldn't change. I see
Murders
his
and
acquisitions. He would do the same thing. I see
Pearson.
I see the traits all the time on my day to day. I'm
Yeah,
telling
but
you.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like he could actually be like a vlogger from like what steps he actually takes, like as you said, in the morning as well, what he actually does, like every single little step that he does. That's why I was saying, like, at the start, that he's a very perfectionist as well on his own body, that he would exactly need to do 1,000 sit-ups,
thousand crunches.
1,000 crunches to actually go through in the morning.
It's kind of like the Truman Show where they watch every.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
I'm gonna be on that.
I want to be on that one too.
I think, in my opinion, it's an anti-drug movie.
Okay, explain, please.
Now, you might be wondering.
No, you gotta explain.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so he constantly, it's not just anti-drug, but like it's about addiction. So you see a lot of how whenever he talks about murdering and whenever he talks about killing, he always talks about it as if it's some form of like urge he has to fulfill. Just like how people who he probably killed someone in the past, but he enjoyed the power so much because we keep talking about how powerless he is because he has no identity, and your identity plays a form of power over, or it plays a certain level of like a degree of, how can I say it, influence over other people, because it allows you to get into certain groups and stuff, and therefore you can attain that power. But the fact that he was able to murder people and achieve power like that, like the ability to take someone else's life, is in his mind something that's exhilarating. In the same way as someone who takes cocaine is exhilarated by that high, he gets high from murder. And it's something he has to continue to fulfill. He tries sex with cameras, he tries sex with multiple women.
He was having sex with himself. Like, bro, he's in front of the mirror.
So it's like he's a narcissist, right? Like, 100%. And he's extremely vain, and he's built this sort of like he's built his life around getting that next fix, and in order for him to really get away with it, he has to be like this top level guy. Also, he gets away with it because he's like a top level guy, and he has the money.
He's a top G.
This is haram.
So
that was so random. This is haram.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So he's addicted to the killing, and that's when he contacts his lawyer. It's like him trying to be like, please help me. Like, it's like his cry for help. He's trying to get into rehab, but then he's denied rehab, and that's why he's like fucked up at the end.
Yeah, his lawyer laughed at him, just like the random guy from Dorsia, laughing at him over the phone.
Like, I think it's also about image. I think it's important for especially like new generation to kind of see and understand that trying to be like everyone else doesn't make you, like, it's not that important. Just try to be the best version of yourself.
Well, in his eyes, the best version of
not in his eyes though. But like, my point is, because I still don't believe he's a perfectionist, because if that's not the status that people
he tries to be one.
Yeah, but like, let's say if that wasn't the level that like people looked up to, and that's not what he was trying to achieve, I can guarantee you that morning routine, the exercising, he would have dropped all of that, just because that's not what the ideal person would be like. That, you see what I mean? Like, he doesn't do that for himself. He does it so he can achieve to become like someone else.
But don't we do a lot of things? We often do exercises and stuff just so that we can like flex on others in a way. But so there are selfish. So yeah. in his eyes, it's like it's a selfish motive, but in the sense where he's trying to look better on the outside. Yeah. He's not, but in most people's eyes, they work out, they go to the gym, and 50% of the reason is for their body, like so that they can feel better, they can be healthy or whatever, and 50% is to get the validation and the affirmation from other people. And it's not a bad thing to have that. Mm-hmm. It's really not. Like,
but I believe it's for the wrong reasons, though. If that's all you're doing it for.
Of course, if that's all you're doing it for, it's the wrong reason. But
which
like,
was his case.
In his case, it was. But if you're working out, if you're going to the gym and you're working out just so that you can improve on yourself and you can flex on others, when other people like gas you up and say, hey man, you look good and stuff, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good. And that's what he wants. He wants to feel good. And
That's
it's kind of like, let me give you an apt example, sort of, right? And this is going to sound weird, but a lot of, let's say, professional wrestlers or a lot of professional athletes get involved with drugs and stuff. Why is that? It's because when they're out on the field or when they're out in the ring or whatever and they're competing, they get a sense of rush. They get a really like high level of high, right? For like 10, 20 minutes, or however much, let's say, a wrestler wrestles. And that's why a lot of them end up like, in order to match that high for the rest of their day, they go into cocaine. They used to go into a lot of like cocaine and stuff. So it's sort of like that. He's trying to get the high with the validation that he's trying to get, but he's not getting that. So he has to contemplate that. He has to match that, like his desire, his urge to get the high with murder.
Yeah.
He has to achieve murder first.
You don't
He has to
think-
achieve murder in order to reach that high.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I'm also thinking, like, do you think that him trying to adapt and become this other person, someone that he's not, sort of polarizes his behavior when, like, how can I say this? His intentions of killing, like, we notice, like, how violent he becomes when the opportunity comes that he's gonna kill his next victim.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that, like, that is amplified because he's trying to become another person at the same time? So it's like sort of polarizing his personalities in a way. You see what I mean?
So you're saying
So, like,
him
if he's
wanting
not-
him wanting to change personalities is like amplifying,
or
his-
like, yeah, it's not, I don't think it's
Amplifying
necessarily
his,
wanting. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily him wanting to. It's more like this is what he's forced to do in order to reach that status. If he didn't have to do that, do you think his not his intentions, but like his desire would calm down a bit?
I think so, because usually people who live these double lives, they separate them. They often give themselves like a nickname or whatever on one end, and then have it on the other, and then like have their public image on the other. So, for example, if you look at a lot of there's a serial killer who dressed up as a clown, and this is like legit.
Gacy.
What? John Wayne Gacy.
Oh.
So John Wayne Gacy, he was like,
What?
I love serial killers. Wait, hold on.
Remember what I said?
I'm Patrick Bateman.
I beg your pardon.
but John Wayne Gacy, he was like a politician. He was gonna be a politician, or I think he was, right?
He was going to be one.
He was going to be a politician, and he was like a high level member.
He was a high level member that
of like society. He was a part of like the Democratic National Convention and everything. He was like involved in politics. But he also was what was the clown's
he was
name?
a clown.
What was the clown's name?
Shit. I forgot.
Yeah,
Oh,
sounds like a fucking horror story, dude.
But he also dressed up as a clown, and then he would like bring people, I think, lure kids or people to his house, and then he would like kill them.
Yeah.
He would like sexually abuse them and then kill them.
Yep.
What the fuck? So these people live these double lives. So on one hand, he kind of wants to be like Marcus, so he can continue living his life as Pierce and Pierce. What was it? Murders and executions thingy. And then
This is engraved now.
That's my old business card from 4
here
years
is
ago.
my card. So
Auden just kept it.
He has a
Okay,
bunch.
sorry.
I have one.
So on one hand, he wants to maintain like the image of Marcus, right? Where Marcus has, he has like, he lives the life as Pierce and Pierce. What was it? The mergers and
Mergers and acquisitions.
Mergers and acquisitions.
Pierce and
and then
Pierce.
he wants to work also as Patrick Bateman in Murders and Executions. You know what I mean? So it's like a, if you split that up, you can live like effectively that double life, because you're just going to say, I'm two different people. Those are two different people I'm living as. But if you say, if you're just one person, there's always going to be that introspective of, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? But then, like, when you're not doing it, like, why am I doing this? But if you say like, okay, no, I'm Marcus now, or oh no, I'm Patrick now.
Okay,
It's like you can separate. You can in your mind you can separate both. In the same way how you season 4 spoilers again.
Round 2.
Don't spoil it.
But like how Jonathan Moore and Joe Goldberg are sort of
Okay.
two different people in
Yeah.
their heads.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
Yes, we got him.
Joe Mama. You fell for that just like Howard.
But you're trying to say that he's trying to become two different people and have two different identities to not feel guilty? I think it's the contrary.
No, but I'm saying it's like it's sort of a way of him. That's why.
No, but that's the opposite of the argument I was trying to make. What I'm trying to say is the more he's trying to be this Marcus, the further he's going away from being his true self. And then when he does get those opportunities, he over amplifies that.
That's what I mean. So
Yeah.
the reason why I'm saying this is because having those two personalities allows one side to amplify those traits in his life. You understand what I mean? So when he gets to that position, he can fully turn into that instead of having ties to that previous personality.
Yeah.
I'll say the last couple lines. So when he was on the couch, when he sat back, like the ending scene, especially in the back, I don't know if you noticed. So he was like having his little mental breakdown in his head, and there was on the door in the back, because he was saying how he feels trapped now. And then the door on the back, it was written, "This is not an exit," as he's giving his final monologue.
Oh.
And then in the ending, I don't have the whole phrase, but he says, "My punishment continues to elude me. I gain no deeper knowledge of myself."
Wow.
So,
Well, because the reality is when you have two personalities, or like not necessarily split personality disorder, because I think it's still sort of one person, but he hides away the true Patrick Bateman in him, and he kind of tries to become something like Marcus. How we were saying, he tries to emulate Marcus,
Or even Paul.
or even Paul Allen.
any one of them.
Exactly. So, for example, I think in that sense, where he doesn't gain true deeper knowledge of himself, because the only time he allows his true self to come out, it's a violent endeavor. So if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel.
Ballsy.
And next week there won't be a show, but there will be a show the following week. It's every 2 weeks now. I know we kind of skipped a week,
Fuck.
and then we did like 2 weeks in a row, and then so it's gonna be every 2 weeks, so that the shows are like high quality. Like this was a very good show.
Why
If
are
you guys
so
leave-
fucking lazy?
If there's more subs,
He
he's
gets
gonna
killed
release
by
more
Patrick
videos.
Bateman.
If you subscribe to the channel,
Subscribe to the Shade Cinema Podcast, motherfuckers. Do it now.
if you subscribe to the Shade Cinema Podcast, I will release more. So don't get me wrong. Thank you, Auden.
Aaron Beligas Luzite.
Thank you guys for watching, and I have a message from our good friend, Mr. Joe Rogan.
I want you all to subscribe to the Shade Cinema Podcast. And don't forget to hit the like button, or Joey Diaz and I are going to flay you and use your skin as bait on our next hunting trip.
Patrick Bateman, written all over.
Patrick Bateman, exactly.